All right, looks like I'm live, guys. A little bit early, but you know how it goes. It is the 3rd of January, and I'm assuming most of you know this by now, but all you got to do is drop your questions in the chat, and I will answer them as they come in. Not much going on here, just a lot of productive things happening today for me. So it's been a pretty good day. I actually got a full night's sleep because I doubled up the cough medicine, took twice the amount of melatonin, and I didn't wake up from coughing. So I might actually be recovering, but who knows. Let's see. Hitman yesterday. So in regards to my earlier question, he says he gets up to the 5-inch mark, and he meant inches, not minutes. I assume that you just meant you partially packing the tube. If you're packing that far up already, though, it depends on how much time you're using. But if you're doing that like in 10 minutes, you might want to have the next size up ready. And then that's kind of been, because I've never been consistent with EQ. I just want to be completely honest. I started at 6.9 non-bone press and 5.1 to 5.5 in girth. Well, what are you now is the real question. And my dog decided to break down the door right as I started streaming. So if I'm distracted, you guys know why. Where'd chat go? So Trio, can I do bundled stretch and then fill them with blood to get girth? So that's like basically the entire concept of tunica release and tunica malleability. Bundled stretches is in that family. I just think there's a lot more effective ones for it, such as, BFR massage and semi-erect bends, because it actually causes compression of the tunica albuginea and then causes it to relax that way. And thank you, Eddie. I try my best. And hello, Destroyer. And then real quick, omegas for PE, so omega-3, that'd be like fish oil. It's helpful for like hormone production, but it's gonna do next to nothing when you are trying to grow your dick, right? Because it's not really that kind of hormone response. Like a testosterone response is gonna be a growth and healing response, so those are completely different hormones. Okay, so Hitman said he went from 6.9 non-bone pressed to 7.4 non-bone pressed with 5.1 to 5.5 in girth because of how like crazy his erection quality was. So yeah, it's when you have like that quite frankly terrible of erection quality, you can gain a lot very quickly. And I don't really like writing about it too much, because like it gives people false expectations. But I literally know people that put on like literally half an inch to 3/4 of an inch of girth in 6 months because of how bad their erection quality was to start. Okay, get out of here. No. Well, I'm done petting you then. Nacho Macho, why does the shaft get longer when I urinate? Normally, that's because you have a tight pelvic floor. So when you urinate, you have to relax your pelvic floor to go. So once you figure out why you're so tense all the time, your flaccid should actually get longer. Some people, when they defecate, have the same like response down there. So yeah, you're not alone. It's just I don't really see it that often with urination. Destroyer, when do you think is a good time to add vibration when coming off a 5-week deconditioning break? So like, I don't really want to push it too heavily just because it hasn't been tested all that much outside of me. I would say like you should have to do PE for at least 6 months, preferably a year. You should have got past your newbie gains, and then you can add it in, and you should only add in like 20 to 30 minutes max. And it depends on what kind of vibrator you're using. Like the smaller ones, you can do a higher frequency. The big gray one that I originally taught with shouldn't go beyond 40 hertz if you're like at maximum. And excuse me guys, I'm having Coke Zero because I forgot to fill up water before the show. All right, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, my dog has annoying little sister energy, so you have to tattle on her to get her to stop. Okay. Let's see. We did that one. Daniel, I feel like vibration with 5 inches of mercury is more than enough, less pressure with vibration. So, yeah, basically, since you're adding like more energy to your dick, it's going to fatigue faster. That's why, like, I'm trying to think. You can technically end up doing more pressure because the vibration numbs you out, but you really shouldn't need to go past like your very normal workload. Like, I was able to gain significantly between 10 to 12 pounds hanging, for example, and then I never really tried to go beyond like 30 kilopascals with it because like otherwise it's just been a huge edema response. So Hitman says he's still over 24% body fat, so I might have more in me. Yeah, so like your penis pump should like circumvent your body fat. It's just when you stop using the dick pump, if you're still in poor vascular health, you're going to lose most of your gains because of the drop in erection quality. So you're looking pretty lean about now. I finally hit the tipping point, Hitman. It's been a ride. I've been so busy this month, I didn't realize how lean I was getting, and I might embarrass myself on camera, but like I'm starting to actually get like top abs. So that's something I haven't had since, I want to say like freshman year of college. My waist is just about as small as it was in college too. So, you know, yeah, I'm happy. So Jay Betts, is it unusual for there to be more edema with vibration? I'm only doing 10 minutes total now. Now it's totally possible. Like, kind of when you use the vibrations, you're helping lymphatic buildup at the same time because it's a passive system. So like any extra energy is going to help pull in more swell. But like it's also, oh, I guess he's flying there. What do you know? But it's also, what's it called? Sorry. Perv texted me. We're meeting in DC like 2 or 3 weeks from now. So we'll see what happens. But where were we? Vibrations and pumping will just make it easier to get swollen, whether it be blood or edema. So just be a bit careful. So Teddy, toe shields under the glands while pumping, okay. He's trying to minimize my edema. So it's probably like completely benign, won't impact gains, but like that compression could actually cause more lymphatic issues down the line if you're not careful. So just don't use something exceptionally tight. But yeah, that's basically it. I've seen people do it. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with it. I just never seen someone who's used it and gained long term. But it's kind of like a pretty rare thing to actually do. So, you know, don't take my word for that I was going to stop games or anything like that. Destroyer, I'm an inconsistent 7-year PE vet. And honestly, dude, I'm probably in the same boat because, like, if I did PE since I was 16 to now, I would probably have the world's largest dick. But, like, since I took so much time off and I did so much, like, half-ass PE, like, I wasted time. So, like, a lot of people are probably in your boat. Chronos, looking great, thank you. The hair complements the weight loss. I think the hair just makes my face look more masculine, too. So, like, I just look more handsome, but, you know, no hair gel in today, so I can still have pretty egregious bangs if I wanted, but. Sorry. Okay. For air pumps, can I just buy one of those brake bleeder kits to replace the handle? Of course, I've done that multiple times. Just make sure you keep the connection valve because it's not going to match the pump. So like if you didn't get like a full pump kit to begin with, you're probably going to have to get a penis pump kit and then you get the proper valve and everything else. But after the fact, Eddie, I'll get to you in a second. You will, what's it called? You'll be fine to replace it with like an aftermarket pump. All right, Eddie, did I actually skip you? You rock. No, I got that one. And then how big should your D measure rate after pumping compared to regular size? So it's largely dependent on, like, first, the tube size you're using. Like, if it doesn't allow for expansion, don't expect to be that much bigger. And then how long you pumped. Like, I could literally be 1.5 inches bigger if I pumped for 1.5 hours, right? Like, in girth. But, you know, it's mostly swelling. And then length, it's not going to be more than like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch typically. Like, unless you have really bad erection quality here, like Hitman, it's going to be like potentially up to 1 inch, but anything more than that's probably like foreskin swelling than anything else. So Greg, still really new to this. How much edema post-session is still fine? I'm getting edema one side of my shaft between the circumcision line and head. Should I stay at 5 instead of 7 to 8 until I acclimate? So in general, I wouldn't worry about it all that much, like especially if you're doing only like 10 to 15 minutes. 7 to 8 inches of mercury is probably going to be like your limit for now, but like the more you pump, the less edema you should build up, especially if you're within like a normal pumping range that we teach. If it makes you more or makes you numb and harder to get erect afterwards, then it's probably too much edema. Okay. Nacho Macho, how long should it take for an erect length to match stretch flaccid length? So it depends where you're at in that routine, but like, and how like long since you've done PE, right? So I don't think you should really be looking at stretch flaccid like as your potential bone press erect length, right? Because it's a flexibility thing. The more you stretch your dick, the more flexible it gets. So therefore, you're able to stretch it farther. Like, no joke, guys, I was borderline 10 inches stretch flaccid like 3 to 4 months ago when I was like at the very tail end of my very length heavy routine, you know, programming. But the my erect length was just under 9 at that time. So like, there's no fucking way I was going to get to 10 inches bone press within the next 6 months, right? So really don't worry about it all too much. Like, a normal delta is going to be about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. And like, if you're over 1/2 inch and you haven't done PE in a while, that's probably an erection quality issue that you want to fix. So Hitman, using toe shields over the glands when you get edema in the foreskin after ring work. I don't know if you need it after wearing your cock ring. It's going to be more helpful when you pump to just limit edema right off the tip. I mean, pun intended, but right off the top, more likely. Jeez, I can't speak right now. Okay, Jamar, how's that collagen realignment routine going? Is it yielding positive expected results for you? So I've gotten sick and I got incredibly busy with business again, and this is always where I fuck up, but I've been doing it probably about 4 to 5 days a week, just not pumping and extending as much as I want. But like, I'm definitely like back over 9 officially. Like, I just measured before this normal erection, like 9 1/16, so like back to normal size. Haven't measured girth yet. So like, once I finally get my daily routines solidified again, we'll get, you know, better results from it. But yeah, I'll let you know when I know, okay? How far off do you think society is from treating PE the way female enhancement is treated? So like, if you're talking breast implants, I don't think anyone's going to bat an eye if someone got a dick implant. If we're talking spending this much time doing like exercises to your dick, it's a little different though, right? Because like, it's more of an investment to you mentally than it is going to the doctors and getting, you know, an inch of filler put in. That being said, like, my parents are in their 60s. They know it's a pretty big market. They don't like tell my granddad about it. So I think we're like probably about 20 to 30 years before it becomes normal. But then again, the United States has banned Pornhub in like 1/3 of the states. So who fucking knows what route we're actually going down. And I think there's actually a Supreme Court ruling based off of that. And that could be very dangerous for, you know, privacy and everything else, and particularly my business. So. Kyberg, what is the main girth that most women can handle orally? My glands are bigger than my shaft, but my glands are not all that hard, so I guess my glands would allow for a bigger girth for this consideration. It's going to be mainly your gland size that's going to limit it. Because, like, the mouth gets smaller as you go in, right? I had toothy blowjobs upwards at 5.25 mid shaft. So, like, if you were really into blowjobs, I wouldn't get bigger than 5.5. And now at my size, my wife can barely blow me at 6 inches all around the glands. So, yeah, like, women's mouths are normally small. If you're into guys, you could probably get away with a decent bit more. But, you know, it's not going to be that much, like 15% more. Compile my life. Love the work, thank you. Is it possible to go from 6 to 9 in a couple of years? Is my routine for manual stretching for 10 minutes and then pumping afterwards going to allow this? So it's a starting point, right? Like, you can build a decent chest with 100 push-ups. So if you want a massive chest, you probably want an actual structured programming beyond that to get, you know, a bodybuilder level chest. 6 to 9 took me 12 years. And that was with trying to gain girth at the same time and taking time off and all that jazz. If I was going to start again at 6 with knowing what I know now and with the consistency and, you know, everything like that, I could probably gain 3 inches in like 5 to 6 years. And that's like if everything in the stars align. So, like, if you really want to be that big, and I'm telling you, dude, once you get to like 7.5, you're gonna be like, why the fuck am I doing this still? It's just going to be, you know, that long of a ride in general. Sorry, I'm very, how do you put it? My train of thought's very all over the place right now. Is L-arginine worth using for erection quality? It is good to get like an immediate like 10%, excuse me, of 10% boost, but I wouldn't like bet the house on it. Like, it's not going to perform nearly as well as Cialis. And if you're a relatively healthy individual, does your cardio, eats right, you're probably not going to notice that much of a difference. So, Teddy, sorry to bother you. Don't be sorry. Get any more information on the toe shield under the gland when pumping? I would appreciate it. So, like, the only thing you got to worry about is it just being too compressive, and like you would know by how purple your glands are turning. I wouldn't necessarily use toe shields, but like a silicone sleeve for vacuum hang, because they're a little bit more, they're bigger in general, and they can expand more without being nearly as compressive. So that's what I would actually recommend over that. But other than that, it's a very simple process. You put it on, you pump normally, probably take it off during your rest sets, and then continue as normal. Or, you know, your breaks. Gauge. I find that over 10 minutes of BFR post-pump shrinking back down from 90% to like 50%. Should I get a smaller ring to retain for more than 10 minutes? So I'm wearing a ring right now, and I'm telling you now, I'm nowhere near my erect size. You could try to go a bit farther, like, you know, get a tighter ring, but like at a certain point, it's going to turn into clamping if you go too tight. So like, yes, but also be careful. Okay, bulk. Just stopped to say, after a lot of digging on the subreddit, going in hard solved my problem of leaking cup problem for back hanging. And can you tell me what the problem was so I can actually comment on it? We are working on reorganizing the subreddit a decent bit. And honestly, it might make more sense out of like a compendium, however you say that word, of a bunch of different posts and make it a little bit more organized on a website. And then still link the sub as well, so that way there's 2 different types of information out there, just depending on how your brain works. But like that is very speculative at this point. Okay, massage work for 5 to 10 minutes. Compression hanging for 4 to 5 pounds. 15 to 20 minutes rest for 5 minutes, and 3 sets of 5 pumping, 37 to 47 kilopascals. Why are you going up that high, dude? And then 10 to 15 minutes of ring work. I would not go that high in the kilopascals. I would do maybe 40 kilopascals. I would You're already at, okay, that's not bad. I'm just, like, the main thing is the pumping pressure is going to kill you. And you don't have to wait as long. Wait, 5 minutes and 3 sets of 5. No, you're good. Like, just don't pump as much. That's all it is. Markel, or did I skip Gaddafi? Gaddafi, what's the best lengthening device you recommend? So, like, cost effective. Well, it's just going to be a vacuum hanger with some weights, because, like, it's going to cost you at most $30 plus the cost of weights, and then you're going to gain at the same rate as an hanger, or I mean extender. The best device on the market for length right now is probably the Apex extender when you use it with like a vacuum hanger attachment. I guess you could use a male hanger too, it doesn't really matter. But point being, that's going to be your best bet. That being said, it's going to depend on how much privacy you have. Okay. Steve Stubb, do you think the Apex 2.0 is the best or one of the best extenders? I would say it is probably the best build quality extender available right now, and it's pretty affordable for what it is, right? So if you look at its competitors, there's going to be plastic and all that jazz in it. The Apex extender is literally all metal. Like the 2.0 version, they do have like a plastic version available. But at that price point, you're getting one of the most robust things for PE, so that's what I would typically recommend. And if you care about like morals and ethics from who you buy from, he's probably one of the best guys to buy from. Okay, Zoe, I'm taking a break from, and hopefully resetting. Is 1.5 to 2 months of break a good for a general reset? That's probably more than enough. I got from 6 to 7 in the last 2 years. I wanted to take a break and see where I could get after the break. I'm telling you, dude, after the break, it's like easy mode for a couple months, because like it's just a return to like quick reactions and adaptations. So you should have some decent success with it. And then Juan asks, is jelqing useful? Jelqing is hard to get right. So like it would be useful if you could do it right, but since the risk profile with it is pretty elevated, there's just safer exercises that are just as effective, like the BFR massage, the semi-erect bends. And I even made a modified version called Diamond Jelks that practically do the same thing, massage the sides of the corpus cavernosum and tunica albuginea so it can expand easier. Mark, I got this vibrating massager off of Amazon, the mini massager personal massage. Okay. Let me take a look real quick. Is it like a little handheld thingy? Because I found it on Temu for $5. So I don't understand how Temu took off, right? Because it's literally garbage. And like there is garbage sites before it, like Wish, and even if you want to consider like AliExpress garbage, like I don't know how it got so popular. Like it has to be losing so much money of how much advertising they're doing. But anyway. Did I skip your comment, Markle? Okay. I do bundled extending with an Apex 60 minutes and then pump for 10 minutes, 2 sets, or 5 sets, 2 minutes. Thoughts on the routine? I just don't really see the point of bundled extending. It makes it more stressful than it needs to be. But like if it's working for you, I'm not going to tell you to stop. But I also think doing 60 minutes of length is going to be like at the high end of what you need. So like what I do is like I'm able to get most of the work I need done in 40 to 45 minutes just by doing a lot of sets. So like 10 1-minute sets at the beginning and then break up every set after that into 5 minutes. And I hit elongation within like 40 to 45 minutes without vibrations. So like if it works for you, that's great. I just think there's more effective ways to go about it, at least when it comes to like routine building. Okay, Harsh, show 5.1 and 5.5 girth side by side. I can't. I don't have anything even remotely near those sizes right now, so. Greg, oh yeah, I got your guide so I can be as efficient as possible. Grammar, bounty, email, bounce back. Where do you want me to send those? Send them to help@peakmalphysique, and hopefully we'll get the grammar issues fixed because that's one of my weak points. And like, so I use Grammarly and then the Microsoft Windows doesn't agree with Grammarly. So like, you know, the whatever word spell checker is, it's so dumb. I hate technology anymore. But yeah, don't worry, we'll hook you up. Daniel, what's a good warm-up pre-pump? Do you think a small space heater plus massage is sufficient? That's more than enough. That's practically more than what I do lately. So I would continue doing that if I were you. Vocal officer, just thankful for the sub. Tried lotion and water method, couldn't ever get a seal. Then have found someone say that they solved their problem and fought for it almost 2 weeks and almost given up. Now a question about my hanging is solved. If using all day stretcher, do you tape or still only do the lotion and water method? I'm worried about blisters, so I'm super cautious. I would just use a little bit of lotion because like there should be practically no pressure in the bell. So like I'm able to wear my all day stretcher for like 4 hours at a time with just a tad bit of lotion, and it's only going to be like a pound of tension, so like your skin's going to be able to handle it just fine unless you're like uncut. But even then you should be pretty safe. Okay, so Hitman, in your last Reddit post yesterday, did you get your answers regarding to foreskin questions? Because I even posted. I got a lot of them. I still have to go through them and like figure out where I need to implement them, but apparently I was making a big deal out of it when I really didn't need to. It's not all that different unless I guess you literally like have an elephant nose for foreskin. But yeah. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to take a ring off and then I'll pop back on. All right, sorry about that. Just easier to switch over to a different camera than it is to like risk it, you know. I tried to drink it slowly to like, you know, not make a gross noise, but you know, I'm sick, so it didn't work. Okay, Destroyer, so vibration extending, God damn it, Red, why'd you have to message me? So does vibration make tunica release obsolete? A bit. It's basically the same idea. The vibrations cause the nerve endings to numb out pretty fast. So you don't need to like front load with massage and everything else. For optimization you might, but like that added energy is going to do most of the work for you, and I cannot get my hair to sit the way I want it to. So we're just going to deal with it. Yeah, that's why I like vibration so much, because like it literally cuts out 20 minutes of my routine. But that being said, if you can't get a vibrator, you get most of the benefits still by doing a massage. So it's not a huge deal. So, can I do PE while water fasting for a week? I don't know why people are into water fasting unless it's like a religious thing that I don't know. Excuse me. Like, you can, but like, water is like vital, right? So, your erection quality is going to be shit. Your nutrient delivery is going to be shit. It's just really not worth it in my opinion. I don't really know the point of water fasting. Like, I don't know if it's like a health fad or it's just like for aesthetics, because I know you do that for bodybuilding. But like, I strongly recommend against water fasting in general. Okay, if I could go back in time, what would you have done differently after high school? Would you rather studied something else? So like, if I knew I was going to be like the dick guy, I would have actually studied biology, because I'm a bit of a I don't want to say a bio savant, but like biology just clicks for me very fast. Like whether it be, you know, health and wellness or like literally cellular microbiology, it's just something that's good for me. And then I would probably paid a little bit more attention to my business classes, but other than that, I would have still went into STEM, and that's really about it. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked computer science and all that, but It's clearly not as useful as it would have been if I had a biology degree right now, right? Bulk lobster, okay, we did that one. Sean, I'm going to put this 20, 25, and 26 in PE and research for 6 months from you and Hank. I'll be back after a year to give everyone results. And if it doesn't, I'll go rebel against the whole PE community. All right, well, if you need help, I'll be here every 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. Dashatorius, does tunica scraping replace diamond jelks and tunica shears? No, not in the same avenue. So like tunica scraping is literally going to be superficial scraping of the tissue. So that's going to break down fibrosis and like any weird collagen deposits that aren't in line, right? With like the BFR, or what is it? The diamond jelks and the, tunica shears, as I called it, that's going to be more of like a massage mechanic. So like that compression can help release like tight tissue, but it's more so to get that tissue to start relaxing on its own more than like scraping it off. Like, okay, I've been doing PE for 10 months, extender 20 to 60 minutes a day, 20 to 30 minutes of pumping, split between morning and night sets. I haven't gained any erect length. I've gained almost an inch in curve. How long have you been doing that exact routine? Because this is something I've noticed with my gainathon people. With splitting up pumping like that, they're all gaining girth but struggling to gain length. So you might actually need to cut back a bit on the girth work, so that way it allows for length to build up. Like, I've been saying this for a bit lately, but I honestly think girth work or girth gains are easier, because like if you look at priapism, like the guys that have chronic priapism always gain a shit ton of girth and like maybe an inch or two in length, but like we're talking 1 to 5 inches in girth from priapism, right? So to me, like, it makes more sense if we're talking about like expansion and pressure being the main mediators for girth, that's going to more be able to change the shape of the dick, because it's literally built to handle that pressure. So it's like going to respond better to it almost. Okay. Destroyer. My motors and controllers were $33 shipped from AliExpress. I think that was better than the price I got on Alibaba. So, let's see. Destroyers. What was my job before all this? So I was a software engineer at a Fortune 250 company, working in inventory. Basically what I was in part of is managing a monolith structure of spaghetti code that talked to a bunch of mainframes all over the country and made it so that Oracle could handle that. And if you understood any of that, you probably realize how much of a bullshit job it was. But it was a good paycheck, and I can't really complain about it. So Hitman, I was on Reddit and clicking on links for PE sites and seeing people charge 100 plus for pumps that you can get on Amazon for less than 50. It's crazy. And I got in trouble for calling people out on that with the old moderator. So now you can see why I took back the subreddit. Let's see. Can we measure elongation before and after the session with the vacuum cup on? As long as it's on both times, yeah, and make sure there's no like air pocket in the belt during the after, because that's the only way it's going to really mess with the measurement. Just remember, that's not going to be your actual size. Alex, okay. Brad, I need advice. I've been using the PMP pump and vacuum kit for 6 months. My bone press stretch flaccid increased by 1/4 inch. And my flaccid increased by 1 inch. I was a shower. I'm very happy. Rec length has not increased. So how much are you pumping? Because that's going to be the main mediator to like translating stretch flaccid gains to erect gains, right? So like if you don't have enough meat in the sausage to blow up, it's not going to be able to be at full size, right? It's just going to be a loose casing. So there's a few things you can do. Let's see. He's reached strain in about 10 minutes of pumping and 20 minutes of hanging. Should I increase my time for both? you might just want to add like 5 to 10 minutes of holding it at like the longest state. And then another thing you could do instead of doing that is just wear an all-day stretcher for like 2 hours to really seal in that shape. But I really think your problem is going to be with like, you know, filling in that tissue more than anything else. Because if you got that stretch flaccid change and you got that flaccid change, it's more so that you just don't have the erection capacity to blow it out enough. So waking dream, all these questions like how much they can gain and how long is kind of like how big their arms can get if they work out, who knows. Actually, you can get a pretty good idea of how big you can get naturally if you measure your wrist and your ankles. So like I found out that my wrist is only 7 inches around instead of 7.5 because I lost weight because I was a fat ass. So like my arm can only get up to like 17 inches naturally based off of looking at all the data from natural competitive bodybuilders. So like if I was going to try to get any bigger, my arms are 16.5 now. I only really have 1/2 inch of room and improvement with my arms. Same goes for everywhere else on my body. Let me see if I can get the link real quick because it is an interesting thing to know about. Muscle potential calculator. Let's see. But for PE, it's all fucking bets are up because there's no like limiting factor other than like time put in and strength adaptation, right? So this is the site I used. It's at the bottom of the chat now. Eddie's like, I got foreskin, but I noticed my D head was a bit less sensitive after pumping. Is that normal? Yeah, normally you'll be a little bit less sensitive after pumping because there's a lot of inflammation around the nerve, so therefore there's not going to be as much sensitivity just in general. But over time, that sensitivity should be increasing constantly, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have less endurance. You know what I mean? It's just more sensation rather than less staying power. And Totally Tiger, I wear the Apex 1 hour every day. How long should I wear my all-day stretcher after that? And how much tension should I use in my ADS? So like, if you're using the all-day stretcher on peak male physique, that thing's gonna pop off with more than 2 pounds of pressure. So like anything more than 2 pounds is gonna be just too much in general. That's gonna be more like high tension by like my model than anything else. So like 1 to 2 pounds is gonna be pretty good. It's gonna probably be dependent on your girth more than anything. And then, no one answered the question, so there we go. Mark, new routine, 10 1 minutes, sets of pumping at 7 inches of mercury, then 2 by 5 minutes, 7 inches of mercury. Sound right? Thanking you in advance. I actually did something very similar today. Basically, the way I see it is more like that's mimicking the interval length protocol. And like knowing what I know now, I should have probably like pushed for that from the start. But you know, it's gonna be like maybe a 10% increase in gains if it's like, or efficiency compared to another one. You know, another routine that's like, you know, 2 5-minute sets or 5 2-minute sets or something like that. So hold on. I lost my spot. Did that one. So DB, why is my package smaller when standing and bigger when laying, sitting down? Both non-bone press, by the way. Well, when you're laying down, gravity is actually pushing down your fat. And like when I stand with my legs together, my like pubic fat bunches together. And then when I stand with my legs apart, my pubic fat no longer is together, right? So there's more surface area for the fat to spread out. And then it depends on your pelvic tilt. So when you're laid down, you're probably gonna be neutral spine. But like if you have interior pelvic tilt like that, it's going to actually pull your dick under you. And that could just hide some of your natural length that way. I swear, people love texting me at 2. Seems like hold on, I just have to answer this real quick. Okay. So, Gage, I haven't gotten my vibration stuff yet. Should I just butt a Hitachi against my vacuum pump? I don't know what a Hitachi is. I'm pretty sure that's a hard drive brand. I'm going to say just wait till your vibration stuff comes in. There's no real reason to rush it. So peeing, like actual peeing after a pump is no different than doing it with a hard on. It goes everywhere. I don't have like 3 different streams when I'm erect. So I guess results may vary. Teddy, you're more than just a dick guy. You are a good human being. Well, I just feel like I have a lot more to offer beyond just being the dick king at this point, because like I've struggled a decent bit with like mindset the past 5 years or so. I guess most of my entire life, if I'm being honest. And I feel like I could be a lot more help to a lot more people if I was able to like talk about that more. So it's more like this isn't like my full potential. You know what I mean? Hitachi Magic Wand. Oh, what? That is definitely a hard drive brand. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I pulled a Hitachi hard drive out of a bunch of laptops. So a Magic Wand's like a normal female-oriented vibrator. Or woman's-oriented vibrator, because saying female is a bit of a hot debate at this point, but... MC, I did Lang for 10 months, added pumping 6 months ago. Where were you? I don't see... Okay, there you are. So you've been extending for 10 months, added pumping 6 months ago. Okay, let's actually take a month off from length for a bit and just solely focus on pumping and see what happens. Super question. I don't know if this is, you mean stupid. We'll find out. Is it normal when after you come, the entire thing just pulses internal, kind of like a heartbeat after about 5 minutes? He said it retreats into body. So no, I don't bust a lot. That's probably just a very overactive pelvic floor. Like your body will have a natural response to like cut the erection, right? You already did your business. Some people are going to have a much higher response than others, but like at that point, it sounds like a very active pelvic floor. Who said spaghetti? Spaghetti what? I didn't get any of that. I don't know what that was in reference to, so... J-Bets, I'm not a hater, but it sucks to see people gaining so much girth when I can't gain any, hoping this new routine will work. I mean, you're not alone in that. I know a bunch of people that just struggle gaining in either direction. That's like kind of part of like what I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't work for some people. But like in general, there's only like 3 things that you could be doing wrong, right? Not using enough pressure, not using too much pressure, and then not getting shape change. So like... you need to be in the Goldilocks zone of pressure and time to gain, and then you actually need to train your dick to be in that biggest state, because otherwise you're going to build up that collagen more densely rather than in like the bigger shape that we want. So like that's really as simple as PE is. Get the growth factors released, get the shape change, you're done. Now how do we figure out why it doesn't work for everyone the way it worked for me, for example? Okay, Bert, I've ordered Virility 12/18/24. The product has not shipped. Is there an issue with the supply chain? No, but there is an issue with shipments in general. Like during the holidays, and like this is only like my 2nd or 3rd time shipping stuff during the holidays. It has been significantly worse with lost deliveries. So like if you didn't get it, email us at Peak Malphysique, not Peak Malphysique, Leviathan Sups, and then we'll just send it out again. Like, I'm sorry that it happened, but like it hurts us too when it's lost in transit like that. Okay, Markel, all drama aside, scientifically speaking, why do you advise against pump-assisted clamping? Obviously, it's not going to do... It's going on... There's a lot going on all at once. So, let's just first think about if the main idea is like you're not able to get hard enough with a clamp to like sufficiently clamp, then you have some significant health issues that you need to work out, and buying this clamp is just going to be a huge, or doing pumping assisted clamping is just a band-aid solution to your piss poor erection quality health. So that's the first thing, right? Secondly, basically, if you are properly clamped, it's going to be like keeping the faucets half on and then shoving something in the sink to keep the water from overflowing. So like when we pump, we're trying to rip open the faucet so all the water can come out, but there's no way to let blood out through the veins. So we can really hurt ourselves if we're not careful. So like, granted, I jumped the gun a little bit on the original, like, you shouldn't pump while clamp, it's fucking stupid. But like, this is just, doing it carefully is not good enough, especially if you're trying to tell 150,000 people about this who are going to be relatively desperate about their size. And like, they're willing to try anything, and with something so untested, like maybe wait till you have proof of it working before you push it so heavily. But scientifically speaking, it's just you're fighting against two natural pressures: your natural erection being stinted by the clamp, and then you're going to apply a pump to try to pull in more blood before it's able to. It's just like the floodgates are not open. That's about it. Red, I thought I was pretty good about that, but I'm still working on it. Red is my PR guy, so he's making sure I don't say anything too inflammatory. If you guys thought I was a little too mean, let me know. Eddie says, if I do nothing but pump, will I gain length, right? So like, you'll probably gain at the same rate of 20% of a hanging protocol. So like, for every inch of girth you gain, you'll gain like 1/5 an inch in length. To me, it just makes more sense to focus on length, focus on girth. That'll be that. I don't know what the big Whopper system is. I'll look in a second. Okay, we did the magic wand. How much should I back off on girth as the guy that can't gain length? I pumped and stretched, and I was up to 300 millimeters of mercury. I've been dropping back down to 200 milligrams. I stopped for a few weeks, but EQ dropped. Anything else should I try? Man, I need to like have notes open for all these. I'm just making sure you're the same guy. I would just add in like 10 minutes of pumping to whatever you're doing right now, and then cut the length work for a month and just see what happens. If your erection quality improves, there you go. We're on the right track a bit. And then MC, Hitachi's an old school Japanese megacorp. I saw a thing today about them making massive building size dump trucks like Yamaha with okay, yeah, I guess Yamaha does make a whole bunch of random shit. I guess Samsung literally makes like tanks for Korea, right? Anyway. I'm trying to figure out where I left off. Okay. Wake and dream maximum size is different than what you'll end up with. It is depending on how much you actually work and if you do it right. Yeah, and then how long you do it. So again, I'm pretty sure I could get to 12 inches long if I really wanted to. It's more like if my wife allows me at this point. But like most guys are probably going to gain 2 inches. Like this is more than enough. I'm satisfied to then leave. And then read about the shipping issues we've had. We had a massive loss of items out of work for Leviathan Wellness. Will come in today around, our worker for Leviathan Wellness will come in around 4 today to get things done. And then, yeah, Shopify was down this morning, so like we couldn't ship anything out. So we are trying our best with the small team that we have. EDM boy, okay. Is there a benefit of using heat before and after a session? Mainly just before. There's no real reason to do it after. You can do it during too, but it increases your risk of blisters, so just be careful. And then Leo, what's the most optimal FFMI for the female gaze? I know there's a point where it does get too much. Okay, so like I am about 23 or 24. I get a lot of female attention. Most guys, if you get above 21, you're gonna have like a good beach body. Anything above 25 is gonna be pushing it, and like you're gonna need steroids to get to that point. So like really what you want is a bit of capped shoulders and a nice little V taper, and then most women are going to be into you. Now if you're trying to be the big intimidating type, you probably actually want to carry a bit more body fat than that, and you'll get a whole different type of woman because of that. Like, believe it or not, women do not just like, you know, male fitness models and male models in general. A lot of women like big burly men because then they make them feel safe. So there's a lot of ways to like win women over with physicality alone. I'm hoping to get to 9, says Kenny. I will need to continue maintenance to keep that. Plus my cylinder is big. How can I keep girth and length around 6.1 on a good day? So you don't want to gain girth. So basically you just don't pump as much and you'll gain mostly length. I think that's what you're asking. You won't, then you won't really need to do maintenance unless you like just want to do it for the culture. And like if you pump 3 times a week for like 3 sets, 5 minutes, your erection quality will stay pretty on point. Anything more than that might actually cause like slow long-term gains, but you know, I don't think anyone's going to be super mad about that. Oh, Dashatories, okay. The spaghetti code. If anyone was a coder, they know what spaghetti code is. It sucks. Don't give me flashbacks. So spaghetti code is when like it's a bunch of different lines of codes going all over the place and there's no organized structure to how it was built. The problem is like they started off organized and then they fired 20 people. So it was one person maintaining it for 5 years before I joined. Yeah, just don't. Ugh. Okay, SOS. Do you prefer lotion or water for the, you know, protecting your glands under a vacuum hanger? I want my glands to grow. I was wondering which is optimal and why. I've noticed more like gland swelling with lotion than with the water method, mainly because the water doesn't compress and like you're able to keep vacuum pressure without like fully expanding your glands in the bell. So like to me, it would make more sense to use the lotion method if you're trying to grow your glands. Tobashi? Do you mean Toshiba? Okay, so I'm supposed to look up the Joey Compon Big Whopper. I think most of Joey Compon's stuff is exceptionally overpriced. Am I missing something? Joel Compon. There we go. Dude, please don't. This better be like under $100. Let's see. Is it scene 2? Should be this one. Okay. He is charging $300 for 2 different cylinders and a vacuum cup. I don't know the numbers off the top of the head, but we literally would charge like 120. Okay, so this is like my issue with other companies in general. I know exactly how much these cost, right? I'm telling you, his profit margins are fucking insane, and he's just ripping people off at that point. So there's a reason why we don't allow a lot of vendors on r/getting bigger just pushing their product now, because of bullshit like this, because it's actually just hurting the consumer at that point. Like, my God. And then $379 for the electric version. Jesus Christ. Okay. You see what I'm up against, guys? No, that's weird. The Joel Compon stuff sucks. Don't even try it. Mistakes were made a year ago. They hurt, they break, they're expensive as fuck. Now that's insane that that's Because, like, I would assume that's probably out of the same factory of my shit. But anyway. So, last question says Hitman, and it is 255. I can go touch frozen grass. BBC versus, I think, white big cock. Do you feel like the size difference between the two? And if so, what's the difference? So there's no real difference. I just think black skin has better contrast. So it looks bigger against white women. And that's why BBCs look a lot bigger than white guys. Like, straight up, that's going to be the main thing. Then this is going to get into the socioeconomics of porn. I'm going to think, just in general, white guys who have big dicks are less likely to do porn because they have a little more opportunity compared to some, you know, minorities in this country. Just, like, think about, I'm trying to tiptoe around the racism here, but, like, it's easier money if you're desperate to do porn. But, like, if you come from a comfortable family, you don't have to do porn, right? So, let me know if that was too racially charged. But, like, what I'm really getting at is, like, when people say, why is there so many black people in sports? It's because, like, we made it so that the only way they can get out of these really poor neighborhoods is if they get a full ride scholarship to a D1 school, for example. So there's a lot more drive for them to get out of their bad situation than, say, some white kid in the suburbs that doesn't have to worry about anything. That's really the analogy that I'm trying to make. Okay. Where am I? Because I went on a bit of a tirade right there. Okay. S. West. I also get edema under the glands after extending. After extending, that's totally fine because it was a vacuum bell. It's going to match the shape of the bell, and I don't have one on me right here. But, like, there's going to be... It's just not the inverse of your dick. So it's going to be completely circular rather than, like, slight taper. So, like, it's just going to happen. And it should go away within 10 to 20 minutes. That swelling goes away pretty fast. Let's go. Is it possible to go from 6 to 7 inches with just manuals in 6 months? I want to say yes, but don't count on it. I've got very similar numbers when I first started, but I'm a bit of a lucky guy in general. So, like, I would say you can most likely get in a year, but again, don't expect good luck, okay? J-Bets. Going back to what you said in previous streams, I was using too much pressure. I was getting way too much edema, but pumping still for time. So as long as you're hitting, like, that expansion range, you know, 104 to 108% expansion, you should gain just the same. It's just going to be less of a stress response afterwards. EDM boy. How to tell if I have a weak, tight pelvic floor? Erections are fine, but I noticed that some pee dribble, I can't tell if I need to kegel more or reverse kegel. So if you have dribble when you pee, that's just, like, a normal dude thing, because it's just kind of like a bad evolutionary flaw. And you need to, like, actually, like, reach... I was about to grab my dick and show you guys. But reach under and, like, rub your urethra a little bit and then shake to get the rest out. Because, like, it's kind of like a... What are they? In plumbing, is it a pee trap where it goes up like this and it stops the odors from sewers from coming up? I think it's called a pee trap. It's literally the same shape in the urethra, so, like, there's always going to be a little bit of water left over unless you know how to shake it out. But, like, a little bit of kegling can help you get enough pressure to push it out, so. Okay. And then Mr. Steve, is there a way to do interval pumps with a bath fan? I'm fairly certain the answer is no, but maybe I'm missing something. I mean, you technically could. It's just, like, this is a lot of force, and you do that 5 to 10 times. It's going to be... It could actually, like, bruise your pelvis, if I'm being completely honest. So I would recommend doing, like, 4 to 5 minute intervals instead of 2 minute intervals. You'll get more, like, edema, but, like, you'll still get a lot more breakdown than just doing one 15-minute set with it. Okay, Dave, what do I do if my strain goal, if I reach my strain goal, but not the fatigue or in-device size. So strain would be your device size, if we're talking about it this way. But if you're like, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, dude. Could you try to reword that, like explain exactly what you mean? Like how you're measuring so I know what you're doing? Tula, do you think L-citrulline could help with the EQ after the flu? I mean, like if you're already taking it now, it won't make any difference then. But like if you take it, if you haven't taken it in 2 or 3 weeks and then you add it back and your erection quality goes up, then you know that you're on the path of recovery. And then harsh, how long would it go from 6 to 6.5? Only by manuals. So like, I don't like telling people this, but like I literally gained a half an inch in like 3 months doing manuals when I first started. So probably 3 to 6 months is a good gauge to gain your first half an inch with just manuals, but you got to be on top of it, not missing sessions, and you got to be a bit lucky to make sure that you're not overworking right off the bat. DRXR, or DRRX, my bad. What extender do you recommend? At this current moment, I recommend Apex extenders. Now, it's been a bit of an open secret that me and Massive Novelties, Perv, have been working together on bringing an Apex product to Peak Male Physique. So top of the line stuff's going to be on Massive Novelties, but the more cost-effective version is going to be on Peak Male Physique for exclusive amount of time. So like it'll be a PMP exclusive for like 6 to 12 months or something like that. We haven't really worked out the details on that part yet, but in general, it's going to be any Massive Novelties item just because the product's very well made, and I would consider it morally and ethically made as well. And Red would like to add to the Joey Copon stuff, and I did skip some, I'll get back to it. The electric pumps are dirt cheap. They're about 20 bucks. So like that big one for Joey Copon over here. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the wrong button. There we go. It hurts me when I see stuff like that, guys. Because like, believe me when I say this, Peak Male Physique is making money. And they are, I'm hoping, not making as many sales as us, but like if they are, it's just bullshit. Anyway. Okay, they talk sex. That number gets thrown a lot. Is 3 sets 5 minutes for pumping? How many times a week would that be effective in C gain? So 3 sets 5 minutes is what we tell beginners and people that are particularly looking for erection quality. You're gonna need to do it at least 4 to 5 times a week. You could probably do it up to 7, but you gotta be careful of overwork at that point. When we're actually trying to get girth gains, we're gonna probably need to get up to about 20 to 40 minutes of actual expansion, 4 to 5 days a week. And then if you actually listen to me specifically, I say you wanna pump up a little bit every day, 2 to 3 times a day. So like you have one big meaty session, and then you have 2 feeder sets, AM and PM, to keep that dilation practically 24/7. So, Imran, what kind of injury makes morning wood go away? Overworking, normally, and then would not reaching full max hardness, like soft tissue fatigue. I took 2 months off and it didn't heal by itself. Any idea? So like there's a few things that could be going wrong. I just was researching a bit about this. First is going to be pelvic floor strain and like pelvic floor tightness. So if those little muscles are contracted or not able to fully contract, either way, you're just not going to be able to get fully hard. So like if you have any muscle imbalance in your pelvis, that could lead to some kind of erectile dysfunction. And then like with an injury, there's that stress response associated with it. And since we're dealing with tissues that have some bit of contraction in it, so like the corpus cavernosum smooth muscle or endothelial smooth muscle, but it has that relaxation and dilation response. So if we stress out that tissue, it can be like stuck in a semi-contracted state. And that's actually going to be a form of hard flaccid as well. So, which would also be erectile dysfunction. And then since the tunica works directly into the fascia system in some aspect, if there's any fascia tightness in the body, it could impact the tunica as well. So like there's a lot of ways your erection quality could be bad after an injury, but what you should probably be doing right now is some kind of massage to the dick to like loosen up the tissues, whether it be the endothelial smooth muscle or the tunica albuginea. And then you should probably see at least more of a flaccid hang over the first 2 weeks, and then a slow improvement of erection quality. J-Bets, I bought the Joe compound pump, but I do wish I did more research. He has no issues with mine. Yeah, so like it's like they're going to work. It's more like, is it a good value to the consumer at that point? And looking at it, it says gained of 1 to 3 inches in length and up to 25% thicker in girth. You know, that's just like, that might actually be illegal marketing tactics, but I'm not going to report them. But anyway, you get the point. Like, it's just misleading the consumer. S West. After I pump after extending, so sometimes it enhances the edema from extending. Just wanted to make sure that's okay. Sometimes I get the edema will start around the 50 minutes and extend for 20 minutes pump. Yeah, you're totally fine. Like, if anything, just give yourself 10 minutes to dissipate that edema before you pump, but like it's not going to be that big of a deal at the end of the day. Like, worst case scenario is that like the underside of your glands are a little bit bigger compared to what they would have been if you just didn't do it. Like, you know, like actually grows bigger, but you know. Okay, let's go. Is it possible to give it a slightly lower angle so it's not parallel to the floor but it's pointed slightly upwards? So you can make it point more downwards. You can't really make it point more upwards. So the only real way you can make it point more upwards is by getting obscene erection quality, because like for whatever reason, and this is like totally anecdotal, when my erection quality is through the roof, my curve becomes more curvy, and it might just be my natural shape. But like when guys abuse what is it, PGE-1, it's a peptide that causes like chronic erections, they start actually getting a higher erection angle and curving upwards, probably because of fibrosis. So like it's not a healthy thing to get you know, that kind of fibrosis, but it is technically possible. But like at the end of the day, as long as you know how to use the angle that you got for sex, it's no big deal. Like, worst case scenarios, you just got to put a pillow under her ass or his ass, and you're good to go. Okay, DJ Hard Smile. What do you think about water versus air pumping? I've added water trump to the pump kit. Will you sell one, or that you sell online? And I've been water pumping with your girth routine. Would air pumping lessen the edema? More than likely, you would get less edema with an air pumping system, just because like there's a bit of osmosis involved, I think. So osmosis is the passive transfer of water. And then the main benefit from water pumping, though, is the immediate transfer of pressure to the corpus cavernosum, since water doesn't compress. So that could also be leading to the edema, is that there's no cushion between the dick and the pressure. So okay, I'm Ran. Can you explain why a pump, a device which should improve erection quality a lot, is the most frequent cause of lowering EQ? That's so controversial to me. Is there any sign to show that it's too much work? You know it's too much work when you have a turtling response afterwards or a significant amount of edema. I think a lot of guys get addicted to the temporary size, and then they overdo it, and that's normally it. And then guys, it is just our nature to want to push the limit. So it's gonna be like, you can bench press every day, right? But there's gonna be a certain point where if you bench press too much every day, you're actually gonna start losing muscle mass, because the muscle you are breaking down faster than you were building up. The dick can be pretty much similar in that regard. Okay, Dave, I'm still having an issue breaking down what you're saying. I mean, if I don't reach in device size versus the end of my session versus my out of device size. So like, again, everyone likes texting me at 2 p.m. But I would be, to me, what matters more is your post-flaccid stretch length. Like your fatigue strain rate is going to be like 100% accurate, but like if you get any change in the toe region, that's like the 102% border of elongation, that's going to be almost guaranteeing that you elicit enough work to break down enough tissue that is like stuck in that state for an extended period of time. So like, don't, like, as long as you're getting one of the two, you'll be good to go normally, because like the fatigue response can also be masked by like an over-stressed response. So like if you overwork your dick, it's going to contract a bit, therefore you actually might be a little bit shorter afterwards, and then you probably need to rework your routine. I hope I answered your question at least. All right, Diddy, what is a realistic amount of length to gain in the first year without devices? Would PE inhibit your natural growth? PE should complement your natural growth, and I'm not going to ask you why you're asking about natural growth. Without devices, again, you can gain an inch in a year without devices. Like the main difference between manual stretching and like a device is that you are the one doing the tension. Tension is tension. It causes the exact same effect no matter how you apply it. It's just stretching all the time is a pain in the ass, and that's why most people use devices. All right, guys, you got me for about 20 more minutes. Everlasting, would it be safe to sleep with an all-day stretcher on with very low tensions? It is never safe to sleep with any kind of device on. Like, worst case scenario is that you twist your dick funny and like you actually rupture the penis, because like while you're asleep, you'll be having a shit ton of erections. So like if you're wearing an all-day stretcher, pulling your dick while hard, and then let's say you toss over in bed, there's a good chance that you literally snap your dick with your thigh. So just don't. It's not worth your time. Or like more accurately, it's not worth the risk. Hello, Malene. Happy New Year. Congrats on the subreddit. I mean, I don't know if you should congratulate me for that, but thanks for the compliment about my haircut. Gauge. FMI says, I only have 20 pounds to my limit. I don't know whether to be excited or disappointed about that. So like 20 pounds is significant. So like, I don't have any pictures of it right now, but like going from 170 to 190 made me go from looking like a scrawny ass to like an actually athletic individual. So yeah, it's a huge difference in shape. I think a lot of people get confused with like body fat as well, because like your body fat can make you look a lot bigger than you really are. And I fell into this trap. So 20 pounds of lean muscle tissue, like go to the grocery store, go look at chuck roast of beef. That's going to be probably about 2 to 3 pounds. Now imagine 10 of those stacked on your body. That is what 20 pounds of muscle mass is. Okay, just because we're on the subject, how does wrist size affect muscle building potential? So it's more so that like you have more carrying capacity based off of how big your frame is. So like if you have an exceptionally large frame, normally your bone structure can handle more muscle, but at the same time, it takes you a lot longer to build that much muscle up. That's the main difference. Because think about it this way. Your frame size is going to largely scale with how tall you are. So like someone that's like 5'6" is going to have like a 6.5 inch wrist. Meanwhile, someone that's like 6 foot like myself is going to have a 7 inch wrist. Therefore, it's just going to scale more properly that way more than anything else. Okay, what you want. I've been pumping up to 12 inches of mercury, but now even 10 inches of mercury hurts. I'm also about 1/3 shorter in the pump too. I've been doing a lot of frequency of 2 sessions a day. This is a sign I should back off. That's pretty normal, because think about it this way. If you're chronically stretching your dick out, there's going to be a point where it just can't really stretch any more of its existing shape. So it has to start like literally pulling apart, and that's when you get the pain signal, right? So honestly, that's probably a good sign, but like obviously don't pump up to the pain point and then continuously do it. Stick at the 10 inches of mercury instead of 12 inches of mercury. Being 1/3 shorter in the pump is probably a sign that your dick is literally bowing out from the pressure. And that's going to be what we really want for girth, right? Like I am probably about a 1/2 inch shorter in the cylinder than I am like when I measure bone press erect length. So like it's totally normal, and if anything, it's probably a good sign that your girth routine's working. But obviously, if you have like piss poor erection quality or, you know, tense flaccid, then you probably need to work back. What's up, Delicious? Take it to hell. I get red spots all over from pumping. Is this normal? I don't think I have any problems with edema. Red spots after pumping, again, someone said it is petechia. It's basically broken blood vessels in the skin, and that means you're either using too much pressure or you're pumping up too fast. And wait, I just noticed something. My camera's flipped here. That is so fucking confusing. I'll fix it here in a minute. But sorry, that really threw me for a loop. But petechia is going to be pretty treatable. It just takes a week off. If you let it get really bad, it can permanently, not permanently, but make it very difficult to get rid of like staining under the skin. So like take a week or two off and then, you know, use less pressure or pump up slower to fix it. Okay, they talk sex. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, make your ability to gain skyrocket because it's a genetic disorder that affects the body's connective tissue, leading to very stretchy skin. Just a fun question. So I don't know if that one specifically would help with PE, but one of the fastest gainers I know is probably one of the most inflexible individuals I know. Like he put 1 inch to 1.5 inches on in like a year. Granted, he is a physiotherapy expert. So like he basically took my stuff and then supercharged it with his own thought process, and he was able to gain pretty fast as well. But like, you know, gains slowed down eventually, and he's not gaining as fast as he did then. But I would assume that the faster you gain a flexibility response, the faster you gain PE. I don't know if that disorder would be a benefit or a hindrance for PE, because like if you have a natural elasticity, any metrics that we use is going to be kind of wrong for them. Oh, that's good to know. So Massive Novelties said it will release its all-day stretcher in February. I'm really excited. I hope one I get before February, or I get one before February. I'll text them after this. Do you recommend pumping laying down or standing? My monitor just decided to turn off. I hate this one. This one doesn't like working. But anyway, I'd recommend doing it like whatever's most comfortable. Normally like seated with like decent enough posture to not limit blood flow in any way is going to be your best bet. JB, hey, I understand clamping, but soft clamping seems weird. Instead of gauging clicking like a normal clamp, what do I do? Just use a cock ring. Sounds like I'm missing something. So cock rings are elastic, right? And there'll be a point where they can't stretch anymore. And then that lack of stretch is what's going to compress against the size of the dick to not allow blood out. So in general, that's how soft clamping works, is that you will get a super physiological erection, and then once the clamp is fully stretched out and fully compressing, the cock rings or whatever, that's how it works. So like it's much more gentle and matches your body better than saying using a hard plastic thing like a clamp. So let me see what happens if I flip the window. Can I do it here? No. Okay. Let's see. Where'd my chat go? S West. I've been doing your morning and night feeder sets with one big working set extending in 20 minutes. Is this optimal for length? I don't know. Most people that I have that have been trying to gain length and doing feeder sets at night have been gaining girth. So if you gain girth, then we can probably say for sure that it's more for girth than anything else. Let me check one thing. OBS, flip, camera. That's the transform function. Where's flip? Oh, that is hideous. Never mind. Wait, I can just do this for now. Okay, so this is actually how I see it on my camera here, and that is where the door should be. So yeah, if I look really weird to you guys, because I'm like looking in the camera and I look like backwards, there you go. This is the real me. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. What? Anyway. So to improve length, stop doing length for a bit. Just curious why that might help. So like, you have two tissues in your dick. You have the blood holding tissue, the corpus cavernosa, then you have the connective tissue in the, what is it? I gotta flip this around. This is too weird. Then you got the collagenous tissue in the, what is it? You got the collagenous tissue in the tunica albuginea, right? With length, you're mainly going to be targeting the collagenous tissue in the tunica albuginea, but you never grew a lot of corpus cavernosum or blood-holding tissue to actually push out your erection. So like, think about it with a sausage. If you don't have a lot of meat in your sausage, there's just going to be a lot of lining that can be pushed out, and you need to fill it in more to get like a nice dense sausage when we're talking about packing meat. So if you build up more corpus cavernosum, you should be able to push out your tunica albuginea more, which should show the length that you have gained. Stupid question, says Gaddafi. As I know you sort of answered my question, or however, what is your number one go-to PE lengthening that you would recommend? Like, it's just going to be probably high tension extending, because it's going to be, you only need 30 to 60 minutes a day, and like, it's going to be isolating the shaft. It's just going to be the most like effective on paper, as in like, it'd be very hard to mess it up doing it that way. Are vibrations still relevant to your girth and length protocol? As DJ Hardsmile, I haven't heard you mention vibrations in a while. So like, I think they're still useful, but like, I'm also waiting to see if other people gain with it. And at the moment, no one's really showing crazy results with it. So like, if I'm just the outlier, then either I'm not telling people to do it correctly, or there was some other underlying factor why I gained so much so fast. Also, then if you look at the other communities that are bastardizing vibration, they haven't really shown any gains to report, or accelerated gains. So like, why risk it if your dick is not actually responding as well as mine did, right? Dashatories. Okay, we did that one. Dashatories. Mine looked decent, but I didn't measure them. So like, when you measure your wrists for like, you know, muscle potential, it's going to be the space between your thumb and like, there's a little bony part over here. This is called the hyaloid process, and that's going to be like your natural wrist size. So like, for big arms, it's going to be probably between 2 1/4 and 2 1/2 of whatever your wrist is. It's also going to depend a bit on your elbow joint. So like, for me, if I was going to technically have like bodybuilding big arms, I'd need to get them up to like 17 inches, but that's going to be like just at my natural limit. So I got a lot more work to do. And like, it also depends like what you go off of. If you're going off of what bodybuilders think compared to what like natural people have achieved, 17-inch arms are gigantic for a natural lifter. Let's see. John Thomas, I purchased a USB infrared knee heat pad from Amazon. The highest temperature supposedly is 45. Only warm to the touch. Should it feel hotter for PE? I don't have Celsius off the top of my head. Let me see if that's in Fahrenheit. So the only real issue that's going to be plenty and hot enough is that if it's going to actually penetrate deep enough, right? So 45 degrees is going to be 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Off the top of my head, 105 degrees Fahrenheit is when collagen starts to de-alienate. So let's see, 44, 43, 42. You need it to be above 41 degrees Celsius in the tunica to start getting it to break apart from the heat. So it should work since the tunica is very close to the surface, but like you got to be a little bit careful using heat in general. Irish boy, I don't know exactly what you asked, but let me just drop down to your other question. I've been doing PE for 5 years, and for the last 2 years, I'm having the problem I can start an erection anytime, but it never gets more than 80% no matter how hard or what I do. What is it? So, let's first check for pelvic floor strain, because like it could be some kind of hard flaccid. Basically, there's a bunch of little stretches that I did. It's like a literally 45-minute video, so just jump around, try out those stretches, particularly the ones where my hips are open wide, and that's going to help with any pelvic floor issue. And sometimes it could be like you stressed out your dick to the point where it's stuck in like this semi-contracted state. So like if you do a lot of massage mechanics, you could actually loosen it up pretty fast. So like literally massage your dick. See if that helps. So what are your thoughts on pumping 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night with extending? Is there better to do pumping, extending in one session if I can? So like what I've been doing is like 3 sets of pumping and then extending. Like if I was doing my perfect routine, it'd be 3 sets of pumping throughout the day and then extending midday with 1 set of pumping. So like it's going to be probably better to split up your routines like that, just so you stay dilated more often. Now JB, saw the Danny D'Lo on the GB sub. The guy is bigger than most corn stars, and if he is not happy with his size, who will? I think you missed the point of what he said, but like, so the guys that don't know, he is like 8 7/8 bone pressed, and then he's just under like 7 inches mid shaft girth. So like he is absolutely gigantic. He's bigger than me in volume for sure, and since he has like an average build, it just looks ridiculous on him. So needless to say, I'm a little bit jealous, but and you could tell him I said that. But he said he has a size fetish. So that means he gets pleasure from being big. So the bigger he is, the happier he is. And his wife is also into size as well. So like he has a healthy relationship. He is probably very comfortable with his size as is, but it doesn't mean he doesn't want to get bigger. So it's literally for pleasure at that point, and there's no real, he doesn't feel insecure about it. I can practically say the same thing. Granted, I wish I looked as big as him, but like, I love how big my dick is, but I'd be happy to get it bigger, right? Drolo Escapes. What do you think of Pen Master? I think you mean Peenie Master. I think it's a very overrated device, and there's probably better devices on Alibaba for penis extending. So that's what I think of it. Dashatorius, what are you saying when dirty talk? I don't really say much during sex because I'm too busy making out and kissing and using my tongue in other places. So yeah, we're not, like, we tried dirty talk a bit, but it didn't really pan out as well as we wanted it to. Okay, John Pork. Would it be possible to go from an upwards curve to a downward curve, and would it be safe? So soft tissue you can mold in any shape you really want, like on paper. I don't think you'd really want to go to a downwards curve. But going from an upwards curve to completely straight, sure. That being said, an upwards curve is probably the most desirable for straight sex because like it makes it much easier to avoid the cervix, and you put more pressure on the clitoris as you enter. So all you got to do is literally bend it in the other direction and hold that for a period of time. So like if you're doing, it'd be semi-erect bend slightly downwards for a bit, and then actually just extend for 20 minutes, and eventually the curve will loosen. And then you got to figure out a way to get fibrosis if you want to get it to point downwards. All right, guys, I'm gonna get these last 2 questions and then I'm done. Hey BD, I'm starting stretching routine using a vacuum cup, I would assume, and then attaching to my bed with a cable holding the stretch downwards, medium to high tension for about 2 hours laying on bed. Is this good? Main thing you got to worry about is actually knowing how much tension you're using. Look up fishing weight, or yeah, fishing scale, and like you can use that to measure the tension. It's like going to be 10 to 15 bucks on Amazon, and it'll make it a lot safer. 2 hours is probably overkill, but like it's gonna work. Zode, can you confirm a 13 centimeter girth needs a 2 1/4 cylinder? No, you'd need a 2.0. I went from 1.4 using, or 11 centimeter using 1.75, and jumped past the 2-inch cylinder seems jarring. Yeah, so like a 13 centimeter girth is going to be 2 inches, just under like 5.1. So like a 2.0 cylinder is going to fit you just fine. If you want to be careful and like, you know, save some money, you can get a 2 1/8 cylinder, but that's like going to be just too much going to a 2 1/4. All right, guys, save these questions for Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. I gotta head out, and I don't know if it's date night or not tonight, but yeah, that's what's going on. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you hopefully Monday.